My name is Ryan Sullivan, the Flying Somm. I'm passionate about wine service. Warm, cool, to decant, not to decant. Let's talk about wine service today. Okay, so let's talk about some of the tools you need first to do a proper wine service. First thing you need is a wine opener. You need a wine glass. Of course, you need the bottle of wine. And if you're having a beautiful bottle of wine, like this beautiful bottle of Barolo, you need a decanter as well. Let's talk about the wine opener first. This is a Code 38 wine opener. This is a pretty high-end wine opener. Sommeliers at the French Laundry restaurant in California, they use it. I don't like those kind of, old ones with the two handles on both sides. It looks like a dancing ballerina. Classic waiter's corkscrew, Code 38. This is a serious high-end one. And the first thing you want to do is you're going to want to cut the cap off the top of a wine. So you just grab the little knife, you pop that out the back. And all you're kind of doing is just cutting that little cap off the top of the wine. Came right off. Again, Code 38. This thing is like, this is the Concorde of wine openers. It's nuts. Of course, grab the cork, the screw, twist in like so. And then it's really quite simple. You just basically pop it down, pop the cork out nice and slow. You don't want to tear, especially if it's an older wine, you want to be careful. And then just kind of ease it right out of the top like so. Let's talk about why we decant a wine. We decant a wine for two reasons. One, sediment. Sometimes older wines, 1995, 1985, Bordeaux's, Barolos, Tuscans, even California. Old wines collect sediment over time. So the purpose of using a decanter is what you want to do is you want to keep pouring until you see sediment start to come out of the bottle, then stop, place the leftover wine on the table, and then that way you have a nice clean decanter with clean wine and no sediment, as that way sediment doesn't get into the glass. Sediment's fine. You can drink sediment, you can eat sediment. I've heard people use it as a skin toner, like a facial massage. I've heard a lot of crazy things with wine sediment. It's perfectly safe to consume, so I wouldn't sweat too much about that. But the real reason we decant, and ironically we decant young wines, is we want to let wines breathe. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab our decanter like so, and we're going to place the wine right on the edge, and you can just see it really start to flow beautifully all around this decanter. Just gorgeous garnet color, ruby color. This is just a beautiful bottle of Barolo. Oops, I might even be spilling a drop or two. And absolutely no sediment. Again, what's the age of this again? Yeah, this is only a 2018, so there's no sediment in this wine. But I want to let this wine breathe. Barolos are beautiful wines made from the Nebbiolo grape from Piedmont in northern Italy. Really age-worthy wines. So if you're going to drink these wines a little bit younger, you definitely want to make sure you let the wines decant. And you want to let the wines breathe. The reason we really let these wines breathe is to maximize the flavors we get out of the wine. So for instance, if I poured this wine right now into the decanter, into the glass, I'm probably only going to get a few fruit notes and a few non-fruit notes. But what will happen is as this wine opens up and it breathes and it starts to kind of come to life, I'm going to help speed this up here. I'm going to speed decant by swirling. It's a nice Zalto burgundy glass. Really helps lift beautiful aromatic red wines and white wines out of the glass. What's going to happen is I'm going to get more complexity, more flavors, and this wine's going to taste better from decanting. So decanting, again, two purposes. One, get rid of sediment on older wines, and most importantly, I'd say number two is even more important than number one. Let wines breathe a little. You got to let it breathe. But let's talk about service temperature. We've talked about decanting. There's about 4 temperatures in wine you really need to know. If it's fresh and crisp, Sauvignon Blanc, Pinot Grigio, about 2 to 7 degrees Celsius. If it is a fuller bodied white wine like Chardonnay or Viognier, maybe kind of 7 to 12 Celsius. Then if you have a medium bodied red wine like a Pinot Noir, for instance, you may want to do around kind of 15, 16 degrees Celsius. And then if you have a fuller bodied red wine, you're looking up to about 18 degrees Celsius. Barolo is definitely a full bodied red wine, But because I'm going to let this decant for about half an hour before I drink it, I'm putting it in the decanter at about 15 degrees Celsius so that when I drink it, it will have warmed up to about 18. The number one thing that frustrates me and frustrates all sommeliers is when white wines are served too cold and red wines are served too warm. So let those whites warm up just a couple of degrees Celsius, and don't be afraid to chill your red wines just a little bit. Today's featured wine, glass, and wine opener is brought to you by Le Sommelier, a wine agency here in Toronto. If you want to help support the Flying Somm YouTube channel, you can pick up this beautiful bottle of Barolo in 6-pack, have it delivered right to your front door, only for those who live in Ontario. But for those of you who live outside of Ontario, in Canada, you can order this beautiful Zalto Burgundy glass or this unbelievably amazing Code 38 wine opener. This is literally the only opener you will ever use for the rest of your life. Delivered right to your front door. Promo code in the links below. Thanks for joining me aboard Cloud Wine. I'll see you soon.